There are many militaries around the world that have many different forms of special forces. Now, these are units that are considered the elite of the elite, and for those reasons, they are used for missions that require a little extra and specific skills. And lately here on FTD Facts, we've been learning a lot about militaries in the European countries. And of course, in the past, we've learned a lot about certain units within Denmark, and with that in mind, today we are going to dive a little bit deeper into the Danish military and look at the special forces of the country. What's going on, guys and girls? Dave Walpole here, and welcome to FTD Facts, the channel where I look at people, cultures, and places from all around the world. Now, today we are going to look at the special forces of Denmark. Now, we're not going to look at one specific unit because in Denmark they actually have two different types. They have what is known as the Jaeger Corps and, of course, the Frogman Corps, which are both special forces units but specialize in different things. Now, before I get into this video here, how it works on FTD Facts, if you guys are liking this stuff and you want more Danish content or military content, be sure to hit that like button, because if we get a lot of like buttons, then we do more content around those particular themes or the countries around them. Now, let's first start looking at what is known as the Jaeger Corps. Now, for those who wonder why are they actually called Jaeger, well, first of all, I did a whole video. I'm going to put it right up here where you guys can look at the history of the Jaeger term and how it evolved. But realistically, Jaeger is just German for hunter, and that's how the name became. And for the Jaeger Corps, according to the main website, they are a special operational force that must be able to solve military tasks in peace, crisis, and in war, within the following overall task types, which is information retrieval and reporting, active action, military support, and of course follow-up tasks. And for the Jaeger Corps, they have the ability to solve the duties imposed on virtually all geographical environments. Now, becoming a Special Forces soldier in Denmark is a really tough thing to do. For both of these particular groups, you have to go through a lengthy training process. But for the Jaegers, they say only about 1 out of 10 people who apply actually get into the program. Before I get into the training, I want to talk a little bit about history, because that is very important. Because believe it or not, the Hunter Corps, or the Jaeger Corps, is believed to have been around since 1785. And back then, it was known as the Jaeger Corps of Zealand. Now, the reason for their development was because Sweden, Britain, and other countries were becoming growing threats, and therefore the military organized a group that was made from hunters and woodsmen. And of course, throughout history, these hunters have been a part of the Denmark army, but it wasn't until the 60s when they officially got their name. This was because on November 1st of 1961, the military had decided to create a complete group for special forces, known as what we are referring to as the Jaeger Corps. One of the major reasons for this is because the Berlin Wall had started construction in August of that year, and because of that, tensions in Europe were really high. And as a result of these tensions, Denmark decided that they needed a special forces group that would operate in what is known as the gray areas of the military. And of course, this all started with 2 soldiers who were the first to complete the training for the Jaeger program. And those 2 individuals were Major B.P. Larsen and First Lieutenant Jørgen Ling. And for Jørgen, he became a major influence in establishing this group. And actually, to get training in special operations, he had to be trained with the British Special Forces group known as the SAS. And from 1962 and onward, the group grew in size and its influence grew as well. However, it wasn't until 1995 that the Jaegers saw their first real form of combat. This was during Bosnia, when they were a part of the stabilization force and operated in Sarajevo, Bosnia, where they acted as an elite sniper group. And since then, the group has seen action in Kosovo, as well as many operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. As well, it should be mentioned that for their involvement during the 2002 operation, known as Task Force Kabar, the group was given the Presidential Unit Citation in 2004. And today, they say approximately there is about 200 of these special forces units that are serving in Denmark, in which they are located and trained at the Aalborg Air Base, and the chief of the Jaeger Corps today is Lieutenant Colonel Kjær Jacobsen. Side note, I also found it very fascinating that since their introduction in 1961, 62-ish, there has only been about 400 soldiers trained in the Jaeger Corps. I found that really amazing. And because there are so few of these special trained forces, the first Jaeger to ever be killed in combat was in 2013 during an explosion in Afghanistan. Of course, there have been others that lost their lives in the past, but those were during training exercises or something of that nature. And speaking of training, these guys are trained in all sorts of different fields, from Arctic warfare to combat, search and rescue, special operations, close protection, reconnaissance, parachuting, and even halo drops, and much, much more. And for the weapons that this particular unit uses, they go through a variety. However, their main rifle is the Canadian C8 or the G53. Now, I did mention that I will talk about training because for the Jaeger Corps, it's a very rigorous training program. Because for soldiers, they start off with 3 pre-courses, which one of them lasts 5 days and the other 2 following are 2 days each. After that, a soldier will move on and go on to an 8-week training program, which is your basic patrol. And then after that, it evolves into the selection course, which is another 8 weeks. And if you pass after that, you receive the very famous Maroon Beret. But however, there is also a parachuting course and combat swimming course, which are 2 weeks long, along with other continuing courses once you are in. Now let's jump over and let's look at the Frogman Corps. I always found these guys really interesting. And actually, a lot of you guys have requested that we talk about these guys in the past, so here we go. For the Frogman Corps, they were established in July of 1957, and for them, they work specifically under the Danish Navy. Similar to the Jaeger Corps, they get trained in a very similar model off of the British Special Forces. But also to add to that, the model for this group is not just based off of that, but they're also based off of the British Navy Special Forces groups, as well as American and Norwegian Navy Special Forces groups as well. However, originally for this group, they were known simply as the Danish Navy's diving school, but however, in 1972, the Navy granted it its own group and adopted the name Frogmen, in which now it is under the submarine divisions. Also in today's world, the chief of the Frogmen group is Commander Jens Bach, and their headquarters is located in East Fjord at Maren Station in Kongsør. And of course, it acts as a special forces group, but the one thing that makes the Frogman Corps definitely different from the Jaeger Corps is that they specialize in scuba diving more than parachuting schools, in which the Jaeger Corps may receive. Also, here's a really cool, interesting fact when it comes to the Frogmen. Although becoming a frogman is a very hard accomplishment to achieve, the Crown Prince of Denmark, Frederick of Denmark, has actually finished the course and become a frogman. And apparently his nickname within the group is Pingo, which I guess comes from a Danish comic strip, I'm not quite sure. And to dive further into understanding how the frogmen actually operate, every single year they receive approximately 500 to 600 applicants. However, for them, only about a dozen of these applicants are actually chosen. And from there on, the training course for frogmen is approximately 9 months long, in which they will serve at least a 2-year contract. And as a matter of fact, since their creation in 1957, there has been a little over 300 frogmen in all of Denmark. Currently, they state they have approximately 150 of them active today, and as well, similar to the Jaeger Corps, their mission files are stamped red, and most of them are classified, and there are very few stories that have come to the public eye. As well, they fought alongside with the Jaegers in what is known as Task Force K-Bar in Afghanistan, and of course, they've also seen combat in Iraq, and from 2008-ish to approximately 2014, they were heavily involved in Operation Ocean Shield, which was a major counter-piracy operation with several governments being involved. So there you go, guys. That is us looking at the Special Forces groups within Denmark. What are your thoughts on this? And do you know somebody who is a Special Forces unit? Or do you yourself want to train in Special Forces? Let us know down there in the comments section below. But my name is Dave Wapple, and thank you guys for tuning in. I always love learning about new different places and new different units and new different militaries and their history and all that sort of stuff from all around the world, and I hope you guys really do too. And that reminds me, if you do and you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, hey, that's what I say. This is the kind of stuff that we do. And also with that in mind, if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I mean, as big as you possibly can. because we will do more either Denmark content or we will do more military content because we know you guys are wanting it. So be sure to hit those like buttons. However, this has been you and me learning about the Special Forces of Denmark, the group that is known as the Jaeger Corps or the Frogman Corps. These are troops that go above and beyond the call of duty, putting themselves on the line for national defense. It is soldiers like these who do the missions that are in such secret that most people on the planet not know where they are, but what they are in fact doing. They are the ones that push themselves much further to hone their skills every single day. These are the soldiers, the history, and the knowledge of the Danish Special Forces, who say, rather to be than to seem. Thanks for watching. Alright, so if you guys like this video, be sure to check out some of these other videos that I think you guys will like. Also, be sure to tune into this video where we looked at the historical term of the Jaeger and see where it actually came from. But other than that, guys, we got plenty of videos for you to check out. Feel free to scroll through our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.